Yep.
Good, good. Training camp started. Pumped.
Yes, finally, it is here. We are short Brent Walker tonight, but he's out partying at a wedding, I guess. So whatever, I guess was more important to him. I know
Well, I
it's more
mean,
important to me.
he was dancing to every time I touched, so that's pretty important.
Yeah, very important.
He's whatever. As long as he's drunk and having a good time, I'm happy for him. So this podcast, we're basically just going to talk news from the first week of training camp, stuff that's kind of been popping off, and a few pretty important reports have come up. Before I get into it, I do have a quick question. Do you guys love or hate training camp this time of the year? Do you love it or hate it?
Both.
Right? Which feeling outweighs the other? Because I have feelings about both too.
I think love outweighs the hate. I think more hate just from like everything gets overhyped and coach speak but I love it because it's the first time that rookies and veterans get to train together and really be um, sorry.
Really be
Yeah.
at one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really get to understand like whose roles are going to be what and like where people are actually what positions are going to be actually playing in that this type of thing is so it's just exciting to actually get to see action for the first time
Right? It makes it
for your
real.
season.
I think that as a a podcaster, I love it. As a fantasy player, I love and hate it.
Mhm.
As a team fan, I absolutely hate it.
Right.
I'm
That's
just
well
waiting
put.
for someone to get hurt.
Right.
So and that's where the like love hate thing comes in, where the fantasy player part comes in. You're not just paying attention to one team. You're paying attention to almost every single team because this player could go down, and then that means that depending on when you do your drafts, obviously, we've got about a third of our roster that is going to be solidified here in a couple days
Yes.
for our league. So we're watching those. Especially we draft the first round of rookies before the draft, so we've got our guys already sitting there. We're just hoping that they don't get hurt, but at the same time, we're hoping that we see them ascend. So there's a lot of mixed emotions as the fantasy player.
Right.
And as an actual team follower, I just want it to be over.
I feel like you're like walking this tightrope. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very scary place to be, but it's, you got to filter through all of the coach speak and figure out, what to listen to, what not to listen to. Cause obviously you want to see your players doing well, but this is a time of year where everybody that's not injured seems like they're doing well.
Yeah.
So if you can pick through there and find the negative things, like those are the ones I'm paying attention to the most. The negative stuff.
I have to point out, we were talking about it off the air about Sony Michel's fumble. That is the start. That's the start of all the negative stuff, where you're going to start hearing every drop pass, every screw up, every wrong thing that they do.
Right.
They breathe wrong.
Right.
They have a back spasm because they picked up an Oreo. Like, all of those things are going to come to light, and you're just going to be racked with nerves, hoping that they're going to be okay.
Right. So before we get into that, hop on Twitter, follow us, number 4 Horseman Pod, send us emails, 4horsemanpod@gmail.com. Same thing, number 4 Horseman Pod. Get on there. We're up over 240 followers on Twitter now, so I appreciate it. We are growing a small cult following. So it's
small cult following.
Yeah, I love it. But like I said, let's get right into the news because, Alex, you kind of alluded to it already. Sony Michel fumbled in 11 versus 11 drills today. So kind of, the bigger ones. It's not just like one-on-one or running cones. They're actually doing 11 on 11 drills. He had to stop, take a lap. Evan Silva had tweeted out that Sony Michel he had the highest fumble rate in this year's running back class coming out of the draft. Alex, you kind of were saying it, like, do you start paying attention to that kind of stuff?
I think that if you're talking about any other team, then no, you're not paying attention to it. But the most notorious name that we can talk about is Jonas Gray. He had with New England, he had 200 yards. He ran for 200 yards. He missed a meeting. We have never heard from him again. That is the kind of ridiculous discipline that is going on in Bill Belichick's, dictatorship of the New England Patriots. And so it doesn't make me feel good as a Sony Michel owner. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just really, it's why I didn't like the fact that he was drafted to that team. Now, talking about the fumbles, I also, you guys know this, that I like Nick Chubb better of those two backs. I drafted Sony Michel technically before, I think, but that was just I felt like I was drafting them in order.
I was gonna say you had back-to-back picks. You had the 2, the 3, and the 4 in a rookie draft. So interchangeable.
Yeah.
But I like Sony Michel, and this news, honestly, it doesn't really affect how I feel about him too much. If it happens again, like if I hear like multiple reports of this, I'm probably gonna start to worry a little bit. I tried to trade you Ronald Jones straight up for Sony Michel.
Okay. You did not solidify that is what you said.
You almost
wanted to. I understand. And the reason being is that I can sit with myself and be upset that I did not make that trade because I drafted Sony Michel. Sure. I didn't get to see him take one snap, and I kept him. I am fine with that. I am not fine with if I trade him to you and he rushes for 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns. I can't live with myself.
Right, because that's his ceiling. Like, I'd say he has that kind of ceiling.
Maybe.
Is it likely? So, Van Cleve, if you were drafting right now, first of all, a two-part question. First part, just you don't need to give me a long, drawn-out answer. If you were drafting right now, which one of those two running backs would you take first? Michel or Jones? Dynasty.
Jones.
Okay. So if you were the Sony Michel owner right now and another owner came to you and offered Ronald Jones straight up for it, would you have those similar? Because I completely understand what Alex is saying. But can you really be scared of that? Like, Alex is very big on trusting his gut. And his gut doesn't right a lot of times. So.
But Alex, you should know this of all the person. You're the one that preaches this the most. What last running back from New England has rushed for 1,400 yards and touchdowns?
I know. Well,
they
1,200
utilize it. It's all how they utilize their whole personnel. Is like they may use running backs that 1 week and then they don't the next week.
I'll give you my another basis of why I don't want to trade him. Stephen Ridley. His rookie season rushed for 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns. Thereabouts. Now, what if I feel this way still? What kind of trade value does he have? Huge.
Yeah.
You mean after next year?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if he has that kind of season, which is possible, I'm just saying that really on paper, that is a trade for trade. It's not a sensible trade.
It's a fun trade.
Sony Michel is a better back than Jones is. It's just
can you quantify that? Like, how is he better? Like, better statistical stats in college, or just like better?
And Jones. You haven't seen Jones have basically a passing career. Like a receiving career as a back.
Sure. Okay, so Sony Michel's a better pass catching back.
He's more versatile back. And so,
yes.
And Jones is explosive, but Jones has a better opportunity right now because of the team he is on.
Did USC use a lot of passing running backs though? I didn't think that their offense used a ton.
That's not
really the point.
Yeah, but I didn't think that they ran a lot of passing plays to running backs. Which I'm just saying that their offense doesn't. It doesn't always mean. I'm just saying that it doesn't mean that he can't. Like Leonard Fournette, you had the same issues, but he looked like a pretty good pass catching back, even though that's what everybody was saying last year, is that he doesn't catch passes. We were all worried about TJ Yeldon, people like that taking, the pass catching back. That was the worry about Leonard Fournette. Like, I'm just saying that some of those guys come out of college and they're automatically labeled as bad, as they aren't good pass catching backs, but they haven't had the opportunity.
Okay,
it's possible. Like, I completely get it.
But the thing, I mean, essentially in that trade, though, if you really think about it, like, I mean, we discussed other things. So I mean,
Sure.
I'm not putting you down here, but
Sure.
I mean, that trade in itself doesn't make my team better or worse. Like,
Right.
it's
It's a complete swap.
It's a wash at this point because we don't know what these guys are capable of. And
Yeah.
is Jones on a better team to give him the opportunity? Yes, absolutely. Sure. Is he on a better team? No. So you got to kind of look at that too. Like, I don't know.
Well, what's funny is
you don't draft a running back in the first round when you've been able to dumpster dive for years.
Right.
And then all of a sudden say, we're not going to use him.
Oh, I agree completely. And I think Michelle's going to be better. So, like, I could argue both sides of it. And that's the thing, is you can realistically argue either side. It's fun to do. I like Sonny Michel better, and I would give up Ronald Jones for him right now. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about another first round running back, kind of. Seahawks beat writer Greg Bell tweeted that Pete Carroll is quote-unquote gushing about how special he thinks Chris Carson is as a do-it-all running back and flawless special teams player. Heavy on the coach speak, Pete Carroll. So what does this mean? Does it mean anything? Like,
do you want me to take it, Alex, first?
Yes, Van Cleef, go for it.
I think we know Alex will go for a while on this one.
Carson Truther, right? But you're a Carson Truther, though. So I kind of want to hear your reaction.
Honestly, though, I drafted Chris Carson last year because I saw potential in him and saw value for this running back. But I don't think that he's going to be the main back. It's just, I mean, why spend a first round pick on a running back and not utilize him? Yeah, they could be gushing from Chris Carson. That's great. They can probably utilize both of them, but I don't know are they just going to like not even give Penny a try? I mean, he's a first round draft pick. Otherwise, that's just going to be ignorance and just be stupid on the Seahawks' part to spend that high of a draft pick on a running back and not utilize him. So I still think Chris Carson can run the ball. I still think he's valuable. But Rashad Penny had a great college career. Will it translate to the NFL? Could be, but we don't know. I mean, he has a better college career than Chris Carson did, because Chris Carson was it was even a drafted
like 6th round pick, I think, something like that,
6th or 7th pick. So I mean, but we've seen talent come out of those late rounds. But I'm just saying, why spend that much capital on a running back and not utilize them? So I think it's just coach speak right now. As much as I want it to be Chris Carson.
I agree that there's a lot of coach speak about this, and I also agree. Why would you waste a first round draft pick if you think that this is the guy? I think that part of the coach speak is they are looking for a suitor to possibly trade Carson. That makes a lot of sense to me. Another thing, though, is we have watched the revolving door of the Seahawks backfield ever since Marshawn Lynch left, and that's only been a couple of years. And we also have watched them kind of whiffing on everything in Seattle the last couple of years. As far as like players that pick up, that sort of thing. I think that drafting Penny, they first off overdrafted him. He wasn't even listed he was like the 5th guy on the board,
right?
As far as running backs go. So he was clearly overdrafted. And there was so much flash to Chris Carson. You would have thought that maybe they gave a 3rd or a 4th round to see, like, okay, here's a decent backup to Chris Carson if he gets hurt, if he's lost a step. But they go out and get Penny, and what happens if Chris Carson is amazing?
Right.
Then they have a real issue on their hands, and that's why I think that maybe they're seeing that and they're like, okay, we got to trade this guy. Like he could be really good, but we got to trade him because we use a first round pick. We're going to look foolish.
Right.
So personally, I think that Chris Carson could be their guy. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But I think they made a big mistake. I really do. I think they made a mistake in underrating Carson and going after a first round running back and then drafting the wrong one by a lot. So
what does he have? Do you think he has any? Chris Carson has any value in fantasy? Because right now I don't think he's being drafted unless to late rounds, right?
I'll look up his ADP while you guys are talking about it.
I mean, I would take a flyer on him.
What?
Sure.
Where? Anything after what? The 7th or 8th?
Well, I mean, I would say that you're probably using one of your last non-defense and kicker picks on him. However, I think that he is vital to a Rashad Penny holder. I think that he is one of those kind of players that you hope to just kind of snag, especially if you're drafting right now and you're reading this, you're listening to this, you're hearing these things about Chris Carson being gushed about. I'm not hearing those same things about Rashad Penny. And that's not to say that Rashad Penny's not doing well. We're just like, I've been bombarded in things that I've been reading over the last week or so that Chris Carson looks fantastic, that Chris Carson is great. Chris Carson is amazing. That terrifies me if I'm somebody who is picking Rashad Penny in the first few rounds.
Yeah, but that's what I'm like saying, like about like kind of turning the volume down on the good things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
but what I'm saying is that I'm not hearing even the same things about Penny.
Right.
It's kind of, honestly, I haven't heard a whole lot about it.
Right. Right now, Chris Carson's being taken as the 46th running back, 138th overall.
So that puts him like basic out of
10th round, like past that, 11th.
Definitely double digits.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
that's good value. Like there's nothing like you.
Yeah,
I'd be interested to see how many of those guys are Rashad Penny owners and how much they're not. But I mean, he's worth, I guess, a flyer, especially if you're hearing talks. I mean, I wouldn't spend much on him, to be honest with you, and I'd be more inclined if I'm a Rashad Penny owner.
Okay, hearing that, so he's like a 12. Let's just say he's 12.
Okay.
Van Cleve, if you draft Rashad Penny in the third round?
Yeah.
Is ADP around third round? Second or third round? I mean, he's in there.
I think
know that he's
it's
around
third,
there.
Third maybe into the fourth.
Yeah. Okay, you draft him.
Mm-hmm.
How soon are you going after Carson then?
See, I almost see this talk may actually bump me up to draft him higher, and I don't think you should.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what this does, though.
I understand.
You shouldn't have to.
Okay, but he is your handcuff, and he is getting a lot of hype. And having said what I've said, if you're drafting right now, this very like you were drafting tonight, and you're reading all this stuff, how high are you willing to draft Chris Carson? I'm not saying would you or what. I'm saying how high, if you want your handcuff, how high are you going to draft him?
I would. It have to be after the 9th, I think. Because there's
For
too
to
many
make
good values.
sense.
Yeah, because there's too many good values right there.
And that's smart. I think. If you want to reach like a round, 2 rounds, sure. If somebody wants to be a jackal and draft him in the 7th round, perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Let him.
Because you're going to find a better value there at 7th than somebody else's player.
Yeah.
Look at the wide receivers available in the 7th. Like,
and people shouldn't. People listen to this. You shouldn't, because the offensive line hasn't gotten that much better. So they may look good in t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah.
What's going to come down to Sundays when they have to actually run between the shackles and they can't because it's getting stuffed.
Yeah, wait till preseason starts at least.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is that like one of the main things you want to keep in mind when you draft a player that has question marks, so you're already starting to think about your handcuff, do not overdraft your handcuff to a point where it actually hurts your team. If you do that, it's not a handcuff anymore. He's a player that you should be starting or at least considering starting.
Right.
So you don't want to, what we're talking about. If somebody wants to be a jerk and draft somebody that they don't have, the starter guy in the 7th round, let them. Because guess what? If Penny wins that job, guess who's going to be on the waiver wire week 1?
Yep.
Week 2.
Yep.
Chris
exactly
Carson.
right. Exactly right.
You do not keep your strategy to where you're going to keep drafting handcuffs.
Yeah.
I don't like to draft handcuffs.
No.
I want as many people who have opportunities to start as possible. And then if I'm trying to handcuff myself to a running back situation that we don't know what's going to happen, I don't like that. I don't like.
It's not the greatest running back situation to have stable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And does it seem like a good idea to handcuff people? Sure. Does it work out sometimes? Every once in a while. Is it something that happens like all the time? No. Normally those guys are getting picked up off the waiver wire because they got dropped in week 2 or 3.
And
Exactly.
This is the kind of scenario that you're looking at. Okay, if you are a Bell owner, are you looking at Connor? Absolutely, because if Bell goes down, Connor is a star.
Right.
If you go out and whatever random name, I'll tell you right now because I fell into it hard. DJ goes down, ignore it. There is no backup that is going to help you recoup what David Johnson does for that team, because it's just not like Kerwin Williams. I got suckered into that crap, and I spent 11 million of my team money on him to drop him 2 weeks later.
But that's the thing. It's just like I would much rather get a Duke Johnson, Theo Riddick, some of these guys who are Tevin Coleman, these type of guys who could have a possibility to have a higher chance of scoring, especially PPR leagues, that have a better chance of give me fancy points than trying to get it back. Those like Kieran Williams, who is just, it's going to be rotating. It's going to be rotating backfield.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's move on to another piece of news. And this kind of happened earlier in the week. Josh Gordon had released a statement that he will not be in Cleveland for the start of training camp, and he wasn't. But that he has received support from everyone, his teammates, fans, and he's excited for the start of the season. Shortly thereafter, GM John Dorsey released a statement saying that they're going to continue to support Gordon like you would expect him to, and they placed him on the non-football illness reserve list until he's ready to return. So that was 5 days ago. So there's been rumors flooding around, lots of stuff going on. Josh Gordon saw his ADP take a pretty big drop. I think he dropped a couple rounds in MFL 10s. I was noticing him going way later. I've read theories that he is avoiding Hard Knocks. And then today I saw video of him training in Gainesville, like doing legit football training. What do you guys, are you worried about Josh Gordon? Does this make you worry?
I actually, especially since you said that he's going later in rounds, that actually excites me more because I feel that I would spend that'd be worth me to spend that capital, that I wouldn't be so high, because there's question marks to me going into that because like how high of draft capital he was being taken at, and now that he's going later, I would jump on that to me because it's a better value.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I don't have. I mean, all of my rankings and stuff like that are still going to be where he was. Where were you seeing him go in your MFL 10s most recently?
I can pull up his ADP. Like I would say before he was like 4th round, 3rd round, somewhere around that third. And here lately, I can pull up because I've been doing a ton of drafts lately.
Well, what I can tell you is that I'm not a person that's going to draft Gordon in the 3rd or 4th round, period.
Where would you be expecting to get him? Like before this news even?
Okay. Where I would want to get him, where I'd feel comfortable getting a player that, has barely played football in the last 3 years and is like it has nothing to do with injuries. It has to do with his mental status and what's going to happen week to week, those kinds of things. Like that's a kind of guy that I want as my wide receiver 3. to be completely honest, because I don't want to have to rely on that. Because if you use a prime, position or a prime, draft spot like the third round, like what I could have gotten maybe in a wide or a running back, maybe that could have done me even better. But I thought to myself, okay, maybe I went 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds, so I'll grab my wide receiver 1. Well, my wide receiver 1 fell off the wagon week 3, and I'm just filling in with whatever I can. Now, if I can get him a few rounds later, and he is my wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, I feel fine with that.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to get him a few rounds later. He's still been going late 4 in almost every single one I've seen, like 4-10, 5-1, right there at the 4-5 turn.
Yeah,
it looks like.
Yeah, well, that's one of those things where you really have to be okay with, and I'm not a big believer in drafting high with running backs anyway, so I'm kind of the wrong person to talk to about this. But
right,
I am going to ignore giant question marks with wide receivers because I'm going to look for that safe guy. I'm going to look for the I just lost his name, Golden Tate. I'm going to look for those kind of guys that are going to give me solid, consistent numbers where I can get the big bang for my running backs. That's how I play. So, not the best person to talk to, I guess, about Josh Gordon, but
I hope that he's staying away, and it's because of this Hard Knocks, and he's wanting to get his head right, and that's going to be awesome. Because I hope he does turn this thing around, because that would be great for him. So I don't want to. I don't feel, especially Alex nailed it to the head. Like, I don't want to spend that high of a draft pick on a guy that hasn't played in 3 years, and we don't know what he's going to be like. And maybe if he goes a little bit later, I'm still not interested in him. Then I won't own Josh Gordon. But if I can get him later than that, and he turns out to be my number 3 receiver, but he turns out to be a number 1, that's awesome. But like I said, I'm not going to try getting him to be my number 1 receiver in a draft. It's just, he hasn't played in 3 years, and that's what worries me.
He played last year.
A little bit.
How many games?
Like what, 5, 6? I think 5? Once he came back, I can't remember exactly.
It wasn't that many games.
I'll look it up. But the one draft I took, I went through. I've done 8 of them in the last 2 days, and
Jesus,
I know. Well, they're only $1 a piece. Which, by the way, non-official sponsor, Draft App is amazing. I've just stumbled upon it and I freaking love it. Like, it's so fluid. You guys should
fast forward to a year from now. Unfortunately, Romine can't join us. He's at a retreat for his gambling addiction.
A retreat sounds fun. I would probably.
You're not rich enough to go to a retreat. I was trying to be nice.
You're right. He played 5 games last year.
Still only had 335 yards.
He did
touchdown.
Take a whole season off, you know what I mean? And then got
reinstated.
Because you remember last year was it last year when he was gonna come back, and then he went on, and they ended up coming back. And you're right, but 85 yards, 69 yards, 115 yards. It's at least from a guy coming back, he was involved in the offense. And what a crap show was Cleveland last year.
Don't get me started with.
I know.
Because, let's insert the other ingredient into this whole mess.
What's the other ingredient?
The other ingredient is Dez Bryant.
Yeah, okay. So, there's talks of Dez Bryant possibly signing with the Browns. I don't know how much truth there is to that.
All I have to say is we're going to put the giant, Tyrod Taylor-shaped elephant out of the room for 1 second. Let's just put it out there, because he's going to sit outside. The fact is that this team has gotten a lot of pieces. I don't know if they have gotten that much better. And you know how long it takes to get a team that is a bunch of pieces to gel. And I'll tell you that as an Eagles fan, the quote-unquote dream team was not good. Okay? you can have as many pieces as you want, but if those pieces can't do what you want them to do collectively, it doesn't matter. So I feel like the Browns are like, if that's what they're thinking, if they're really thinking about Des Bryant, they are looking at whatever they can throw at the wall that sticks. And if you're asking me, if they lose Josh Gordon, do they need to add Des Bryant? Absolutely not. They've got Coleman, who they use a first round pick on. They've got Jarvis Landry, who is a great, PPR guy, the regular football version of, not just the fantasy version of. And they've got a few other guys. Could they go out and get like a smaller free agent, or maybe make a trade? Des Bryant would be just so then when Josh Gordon comes back, you're gonna have Des Bryant, Josh Gordon, Coleman, no, it's not gonna work. So just move on.
Like, as a fantasy player, I do not want to see Des Bryant go. I know Brent was like brought it up in our group chat that, like, where do you draft Des Bryant if Josh Gordon does miss any time, which is a big if already. Like, it could happen, but it's still not for sure. I don't really move him up there. Like, I don't want to own him. I don't want him to go there.
Let's say he misses 5 games. We'll make this make believe land where he misses 5 games. They get Des Bryant. So you're now telling me that I have to think about 4 wide receivers on a team where a guy can't throw 3,000 yards.
He's out of the room. We're not talking about him right now.
No. That's not what I meant. I meant the overall discussion. I'm just using facts here. I'm just using facts. Listen.
I know, but we've never seen Tyrod Taylor in offense like this. Oh, so, carry on. Sorry. I know.
Okay. But what I'm saying is that you have 3 number 1 speed guys.
Right.
And a guy that is perfect for Jarvis Landry.
Right.
Period.
Yes.
Just Jarvis Landry. And I don't want to pour all of my heart and soul into a team that has 1 win in 2 years.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to put all my eggs in that basket.
Sure.
Like, I mean, it's already bad enough that I've got Carlos Hyde and Nick Chubb, but running backs, usually you can get more out of in a bad team versus a wide receiver that has to, like, I mean, most of the time the ball is going through the one running back at a time for the most part.
Right.
Whereas wide receivers, you're spreading the ball out. You got 4 possible, like, wide receiver ones at one point in time.
Yeah. It's not pretty.
No, it's too much. And I wouldn't even trust all of those guys in the Patriots or Green Bay or none of them. So why would I do that with, regardless of what you think about it, why would I do that with a middle to lower tier quarterback like Tyrod Taylor? Like, that makes no sense.
Sure.
And we're just overstretching what we think that the Browns are going to do.
Well, and not to mention, like, to speak on the Des Bryant thing, with every day that passes that he hasn't signed with the team, I am less and less and less likely to draft him. It's getting later. You know, they're in training camp now. Preseason games are going to start. He is not going to have time to, to get in there with it, create, some sort of rapport with whatever quarterback it is. And could it happen? Sure. It's not going to be on my team.
Do you think that he has this kind of like Marshawn Lynch thing where he just hates training camp so much that he's just not signing with a team until after training camp?
I don't know.
He might come in on like the second preseason game, sign with the team. He'll suit up, or no, he won't suit up. He'll just stand on the sideline with street clothes. Like, that's what I feel like is going to happen with Des Bryant.
If he does, I hope it's with a terrible team. Like, that's the only way he's going to have any fantasy relevance.
Let me throw this out.
Yeah.
Seahawks.
Seahawks would be fine. They brought in Brandon Marshall. Like, why not bring in Des Bryant? Like,
okay, but what I'm saying is that does that register? If we're meant to believe that he's the number 2 quarterback, are we then meant to believe that Des Bryant would be either the number 1 or number 2 on that team and get 1,000 yards?
no, I'd still much rather have Doug Baldwin. Much rather have Doug Baldwin, and I'd probably still rather have Tyler Lockett if that was to happen.
Tyler Lockett. That guy can't stay on the field. I don't want anything to do with him.
That's fine. I'll give Tyler Lockett a chance this year.
I'm sure you will.
I always get. I can't quit people. That's just how I am.
I'm much rather have an older Brandon Marshall than Tyler Lockett. I think Brandon Marshall will see more red zone targets.
Oh, you're insane, right? Oh, can we make a bet on that? Tyler Lockett's going to outscore Brandon Marshall.
Yeah,
easy. Okay.
Yeah,
that's our first and only bet that we'll have all year.
Put it on the board.
Oh, man, I'm almost. Oh man.
Well, you want to take that too? Take it, Alex.
No, I'm not.
Yes, Alex, take it.
I don't feel good enough. I don't feel good enough about it.
It's because I'm right.
Okay. No, Tyler Lockett.
This is coming from a Tyler Lockett truther as well. What is your deal with
me?
Man, wait, hold on. Sorry. What's your deal with the Seahawks?
Me?
You have a couple of truth. Yeah, you drafted him.
I did, but like it was like 2 years ago when like.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying that you were a big Lockett fan. So the fact that you're off the gravy train just kind of says all the more that he's not really that good anymore.
I've been burnt by him.
Yeah, just give me the guy that's been with the team, even if he has missed time. Like, give me the guy that's been with the team that's created rapport already with Russell Wilson, and I'll take it. I'll take it over Brandon Marshall all day long.
Has created a rapport.
I think
been
so.
On the field for 30 seconds of the last 2 years.
Well, you're still spending time with these guys. It's not like you're only seeing them at the stadium for Sundays and practices. Okay. Like you spend time with these people.
I've spent time with plenty of people. That doesn't mean I'm going to be able to catch a ball from them.
I mean, go ahead.
They don't have Jimmy Graham anymore, who was a big red zone target for Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
What besides Doug Baldwin, what big threats do they have? Like there's gonna be a presence there. I think Brandon Marshall will be that red zone target.
I don't know. I hope. I like Brandon Marshall as a player. Like I wish he was still good. I just don't think he is.
Your Tyler Lockett's going to be your big play guy. He's
not a red zone target. You're right about that.
No, that's what I'm just saying. I think that's why Brandon Marshall will outscore him.
He's actually been. This is kind of bizarre. Okay, according to this, Tyler Lockett has only missed one game, but has only started. The most he started is 9, and the most catches he has had was his rookie season, and that was also the most yards he ever had, which was 664 and 6 touchdowns.
Is this his third or fourth year?
This is going to his fourth.
Going into his fourth.
Yeah, going into his fourth.
Yep.
So
Oh.
I don't know. I'd give me Tyler Lockett though. That doesn't change in my mind at all. Okay. And Alex, I would love for you to take it. I'll give you one more chance if you want to.
Nah.
Okay, that's fine. Moving on.
It's just not moving me. I'm not like super jacked about it.
That's fine.
It's not a sexy one.
Yeah, it's not sexy. No.
Are any of them really sexy? If like 6 of them
I think so.
Tyrod Taylor. So
I think there are some sexy ones. I think there are some real sexy ones.
I want to win this year. Like I'm going after the W.
I know this
is the time where you are going to take advantage of me.
Okay, but the thing is that I will say that this year our bets are definitely way sexier because the bets that you've made for the first 3 years have been garbage.
They're fun.
So this is the sexiest year. This is the sexiest year we have had so far because even I've made some just stupid bets.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Cordell Patterson.
Patterson, 800 yards. Give me a break, Alex.
All right. No. We are. I think we're like 40 minutes in, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 things left. One thing is gonna that I want to talk about now. So Cleveland. Yeah, way too much Cleveland. And like, why do I love Cleveland so much? Like
Tyrod Taylor.
It's interesting. Like they're a terrible team that all of a sudden has all these players that you kind of wish were on your team. And so you're waiting to see what happens. Does it implode? Do all of a sudden we have a team that can finally rival like the Steelers for an extended period of time? Are they the team that then takes over when Big Ben retires, when Le'Veon Bell leaves the team? I think that's just kind of what we're at right now. We're waiting for one of those teams because I mean the Ravens,
yeah, trash. John Brown, though,
that team's
has some good tape already.
That team is not going to be exciting until Lamar Jackson takes the field.
Yeah, which is probably not even going to be this year because they're probably going to be like 7-9, 8-8 still.
Well, yeah, I mean they're still going to play with Joe Flacco. I think Lamar Jackson gets on the field, but like with like Wildcats or like these crazy ass plays that not needed.
Yeah, I agree. I
heard someone talking on a podcast earlier how they were saying that Joe Flacco needs to have like an Alex Smith type resurgent season, and it's going to be very similar to how like Pat Mahomes was there in the wing. Like everybody knows that Patrick Mahomes was going to take the job as soon as this year was over. I think that Lamar Jackson could legitimately end up not starting any games this year, but next year it could they could be the Kansas City of this, of this year. How we're all kind of hyped about Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if we really are, but
I mean, what running backs or wide receivers do they have?
Well, they have Alex Collins, who's going in the 3rd round of drafts right now. So
yeah, which is completely insane. And a real quick anecdote to that, I've been hearing a lot of good talk about Dixon again, but just don't be burned by that.
Yeah,
Don't get burned.
I've picked him up like a couple late. If you can take him in like the 13th, 14th round, like a late pick, that's fine. And that's a guy that I think, if something was to happen, he could turn a big upside if, Alex Collins completely flops, but it's not likely. So
I feel like Alex Collins won't. I feel like he's just gonna be like he'll get the decent yards. He may be serviceable, almost kind of like a Frank Gore, but not as like productive.
Young Frank Gore.
Yeah, like where he.
So you think he's gonna be a Hall of Famer, essentially?
No, I said because I don't know. I'm not. Frank Gore was good, especially in his young days, and he's consistent. Sure. But I just I don't know. Collins put up decent numbers, but it wasn't like where he's got to be a top wide receiver, like running back. I think he's a running back 3.
I was gonna say he's definitely getting drafted as a better one than that. His ADP is 40th overall, running back 19. So that's running back too. So
RB2. I mean, it's all right. I think he's a RB3 with RB2 upside.
Yeah.
The one thing that real quick, I just want to my frustration with the Ravens is just that the one spot that they didn't necessarily need to go out and get was a quarterback, and they went after a quarterback in the 1st round and then didn't address all the other problems that they have on offense. They're a frustrating team. I don't have any time for them. I'm not going to own anything from them. Yeah, maybe a Lamar Jackson in like a dynasty situation. But more likely than not, I won't even have that because I don't overdraft rookie quarterbacks anyway. So
you don't think like a John Brown or Willie Snead might be worth like a super late round flyer, just possibly?
Has any did Macklin? I mean, like right now, they're wide receiver killers. That team is a wide receiver killer.
Well, that's like you saw, Mike Wallace, I think, did it there. What was that, Mike Wallace?
3 years ago.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like it's more of like a big play receiver. Like,
I think the last play that actually really put up fancy numbers was, oh my gosh, I just lost his name. He was the Panthers wide receiver, and then
Steve Smith.
Steve Smith, was the last wide receiver that did anything and put up fantasy value.
There's another one though, like. Steve Smith was probably better than that, but like that's why I think like John Brown could be. Like you don't think he's a great wide receiver. He's a home run hitter. Like he could be a good best ball wide receiver.
Okay, best ball. I will give you best ball.
Right. You don't want.
I don't want him in any other thing.
Right. No, you're probably because it's hard to know when to start him, but he's like I could see John Brown having like 700 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, which is basically what the best wide receiver on Baltimore can do at this point.
Right.
So,
all right,
real quick.
Yes.
That might be, even if they are like 3-4, might be the only way that Lamar Jackson takes over. If we're still seeing just nothing out of the wide receivers, they do the off chance they throw in a spark, because that's what the type of player is that they have in Lamar Jackson, is a spark. So
I think the only chance that Lamar Jackson plays this year is if Joe Flacco gets injured.
You don't think that maybe if Harbaugh starts seeing his job possibly in question?
I think he'll ride it down in flames.
They spent too much money on Flacco, I think. I mean, they made
that is true. That's why you don't spend $100 million on a quarterback.
Yeah, what a stupid contract.
So,
let's move on. I've got 4 things, and I want to
talk about this stuff all day.
I was gonna say, at least 4 I want to get done in 10 minutes. So okay. I don't want you guys to spend much time on. So Roto World Football report that Odell Beckham Jr. could see more reps from the slot. Does this improve Odell Beckham? And we kind of already talked about this, with Van Cleve earlier. He had brought this point up outside the podcast. What does it say to you about Odell Beckham? He's already, going at the end of the first round. I've seen him slip to the beginning of the second.
Who you want?
Van Cleve.
Okay. He's already an elite wide receiver. Like as far as he's being drafted, I think it makes it very intriguing, especially if he goes out of the slot, because McAdoo never had him out of the slot. He was always on the outside. So have him in the slot going against that kind of coverage with the linebackers. He's very quick. I think could be very potential. It could be like almost a Jarvis Landry type situation for PPR, where he's getting a bunch of targets and getting a bunch of receptions. He may not be doing the big plays like he was getting, but I think if he'd be more consistent, because I felt like, and I felt like he was one of those guys where he was a wide receiver, and it was the same with Julio. But real quick though, it was just like he gained a huge game, like over 100 yards, over 150 yards, and then the next game he'd have under 100 yards. This way you might see him be more consistent, have a higher target rate per game.
I really want Odell to be deadly, but I don't know if it changes it. Alex, does it hurt anybody on that team?
I mean, obviously, I think that you have to take a look at and say that hurts Sterling Shepard. I've never been a big Sterling Shepard fan, and this makes me even less so. I think that Sterling Shepard is kind of an afterthought at this point. It doesn't seem like he really gelled very well with Eli. They keep trying to bring other guys in to do things, and he had his opportunity last year, and I think he was hurt for a few games, and I think that he's just kind of a fill-in wide receiver. I wouldn't even waste a pick on him.
Yep. Barkley and Beckham, the 2 Giants to own. Ingram, obviously, if he falls, he's getting overdrafted. But
yeah,
it's just all the tight ends after the top 3 are hard. So, all right, I think that's good. Elijah McGuire broke his foot. It's broken. Not looking good for him. He's gonna miss some significant time. The Jets. What does it mean? Like, is there anything that they have? Isaiah Crowell, Bilal Powell. Like, I don't know. Does it mean anything? Is there any sort of significance to this, Van Cleve? Like,
no, I don't.
That's the vigor that you have anytime talking about the Jets.
Well, yeah, it's just like I don't know. You would take Crowell, but like I would want him as an RB3.
I wouldn't even want him as an RB3. I've fallen off the Crowell train. I loved him last year. I know.
You got burnt.
Wow.
That's what happened.
I did. He hurt me.
Yeah, he hurt you deep. Cut you.
Shocker.
I know. I'm super surprised.
I don't want the Jets running backs because you don't know what's going to happen, how that system's going to shake out. Because, yeah, I don't want it. Elijah McGuire doesn't really move the needle for me that he got his hurt foot. I wasn't expecting big things from him anyways.
Right.
I mean, why would they bring in Crowell? And I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, VC. I mean, if they were sold on having Powell and McGuire, they wouldn't have brought in Crowell. I think we saw numerous times where, you know, you'd get a huge game out of Powell and then absolutely nothing. And McGuire had some, you know, opportunities last year to kind of show that he could be the guy, and obviously he didn't. And so stay away, just stay away. Like, there's no point. They're not going to be a good team. There's a whole lot of nothing in New York as far as the Jets are concerned. Just stay away.
See, and that's the kind of thing, like, if Isaiah Crowell falls where he's like your running back 6, sure, maybe go ahead and draft him. Like, maybe there's a chance that he has some decent matchups and you can play him, but realistically, like, he's a bye week fill-in guy. Not you don't really want to waste. Yeah, you don't want to waste roster spots on that, but it doesn't hurt to have him on the end there just to see if maybe it pans out. Alex had told me before the show that Jordan Reed had surgery to have bones removed from his, was it foot or toe?
His big toe is what I was reading.
God, Jordan Reed. What can be said about? We were talking about tight ends being sketch after Gronk, Kelsey, and
where
Ertz.
he is like, as far as tight end goes, at least down here. Hold on, let me see where he has fallen to. He has fallen to tight end 21.
Oh, what's that on? What site?
21. I'm on RotoWire.
That's crazy.
And this is on PPR. I'm on PPR. I mean, this is a young guy. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's, you know, just like 27, 28 as far as tight ends go. I mean, you know, we're still talking about maybe, you know, Gates coming back. He's like 35. Oh, no, he's like 38.
Yeah, Gates.
I mean, he's old. So, you know, this is a position that has the possibility of being a long-term thing. And we have completely just gotten over the hype from a couple of years ago.
Well, I mean, the hype was real when he was playing, though. Like, when he played and was healthy, he was a number one tight end. I would take a flyer on him being my 21. I probably wouldn't have him as my number one tight end. I'd probably be my second draft, and I would definitely take a flyer, because if he really is 100% and he's good, then like he's going to be a number one tight end playing.
He's going earlier than that, though. Like you said, RotoWire had him that.
Mm-hmm.
Fantasy Pros has him as the number 9 tight end. So that's like a consensus ranking. Yeah. So I don't know what they're talking about. 26 is for them.
Or maybe
Austin Hooper,
that's what he finished the season. Maybe that's what this is a rank of.
Oh, that makes sense.
Could be.
I don't know.
He's getting a little bit. He has definitely fallen, though. You know, there was that time where is Jordan Reed as good as Gronk? Like people. People talked about that.
And honestly, I think that there was a point where people were like trying to figure out, can you put him in the same tier? Because we've had a Gronk tier, and then we had like smaller amounts. But I think that even that season, the season following his big season, I think that there were 2 tiers. I think it was a Gronk, then a Jordan Reed, and then you had like, you know, the smaller two. So
I think he was being drafted like 3rd tight end last year.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
After Kelsey.
Yeah,
people were hoping that he was going to bounce back. Yeah, so
he was Zach Ertz last year.
yeah.
But so the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and we don't need to carry on, it is Browns again. I'm running into this Carlos Hyde and Nick Chubb thing. Like, me and Alex started off debating on Rashad Penny and Sony Michel, maybe. I don't remember who it was exactly.
Yeah.
But then we got into talking about Carlos Hyde and Nick Chubb. Like, do you see a situation where the Browns just run the crap out of Carlos Hyde and he ends up being a legit running back this year, and Nick Chubb kind of takes the back seat?
I think if they run the crap out of him, he's gonna hurt himself.
Oh yeah,
he stayed healthy last year.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I mean, he did. He wasn't like the years past.
I feel like he was getting injured. He just wasn't missing games. Like, I remember hearing about like, oh, he, you know, like maybe came out for a little bit, or, you know, like, I don't know. And I could be wrong, but
I don't think you're right. I think maybe one game, but
I don't know.
He had over 10 carries in every game except for 2.
Well, what was going on in those 2 games?
I don't know. Those could have been the 2, but it's only 2. He played
But
all year.
okay,
Yeah,
but what I'm
10
saying is that
carry,
you still hear about it.
10,
That's what
10
I'm
games,
saying.
10
Sorry,
carries
go ahead.
isn't that much for a workhorse running back, and that's
I
what
mean,
he
he had
was.
almost
Sorry.
300 total touches, 299.
Jesus, really?
Mm-hmm.
My God.
He was really not good on a per touch basis, like fantasy wise. I think it was Mike Tagliere talking about that. So
I do remember him being more consistent than because I owned him 2 years prior. Like I owned him like 2 years in a row, expecting good things because he was a good running back, but he just kept getting injured. And it was at that type of injuries where it's like a hamstring, you don't know if he's gonna play. Oh, then he's not playing. It's like one of those things like you start him or not.
right.
Like a lot of those things. And so I don't. I guess it's because I've been burned because of my injury history of Carlos Hyde, but I just think that if he can stay healthy, great. But I don't think that he will.
Because Nick Chubb's going later than Carlos Hyde right now, probably rightfully so. You think, Alex?
Well, but not. It's. I mean, and this is completely hypocritical, but this is probably one of the worst backfields because of the fact that you're going to have to draft Carlos Hyde and within a couple of rounds draft Nick Chubb.
Yeah, it's hard to own them both.
Yeah, and you're looking at an offense that have so many question marks, but I am a proud owner of both.
Well, so yeah. Well, I mean, we just the MFL 10 we just did as a draft. That's what came up. It was like Carlos Hyde was on the top, as far as the top position to pick, at the of the rankings, I guess you should say. And he stayed there for a while because people didn't want to have to draft him and then have to draft Chubb a couple rounds later. I think that's just the thought process of people.
I was going to say, according to Fantasy Pros, Carlos Hyde's the number 35 running back. Nick Chubb's the number 43.
I've got him, Carlos Hyde at 37 and Nick Chubb at 36. The one thing that I do want to throw out real quick, and it has nothing to do with the Browns, it has nothing to do with these running backs. It has to do with the fact that right now, no one, and I mean no one, is talking about Darius Guice.
I mean,
I think he might end up being the best rookie running back because he is being able to be quietly earning reps. He's a number one running. He's one of the only ones other than Barkley that is walking into the RB1 position.
And Ronald Jones, but yeah,
kind of.
Peyton Barber. I mean, but the thing with Washington is they have a really good pass catching back. Chris Thompson is a really, really good pass catching back. He was great last year.
And he's tiny. And he will probably be hurt again.
Could be. I'm not saying that I saw Darius Guice go in the second round of one of my drafts yesterday. So
that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, people are taking him. Like you think that he's flying under the radar. People are still on him. He doesn't usually make it past the third.
Was idiotic and drafted him in the second round doesn't mean that overall
he never makes it
a lot of.
He never makes it past the fourth. He almost always goes.
Is that people aren't talking about him.
Yeah, people. You're right. As far as like
we're talking about
goes.
Michelle, Nick Chubb. We're talking about Penny. I mean, like how many times has this podcast sat down and discussed Darius Guice?
Right, Darius Guice is the number 37 overall player being drafted. Running back 17, according to Fantasy Pros.
Yeah, I've got him as running back 22.
So you're even lower on him.
Okay, but. Would you? I'm just looking at just this. Would you want right before him on this list, Alex Collins, right after Marshawn Lynch?
Yeah, I would take Guice over both those guys.
Yeah, just the upside. Yeah,
you're not wrong.
The unknown.
See, in Fantasy Pros, he's right in front of Kenyon Drake and Derrick Henry.
That one, that's a little bit of a. I would still end up going Guice, but at least that one gives me pause. Whereas Alex Collins and Marshawn Lynch, there's no pause. Like I'm like, well, no.
Right, and that's it's legit.
Kenyon Drake is another. Oh gosh, we've got some people that we need to.
I feel like
talk about.
I feel like the Miami situation could be a mess.
It could be
there. Kalen
Kalen Balazs.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
But the thing is that like just in auction values, Kenyon Drake is expensive.
Oh yeah,
stupidly expensive. Like honestly, he should be like around or just a little bit above Jay Ajayi, and he is insanely expensive for like the sample size. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, and you're talking about like our league that we have like a what do you even want to call it? Like a contract league. So you're right. He's crazy. He's way overpriced on that, and we average it off a couple different sites. But
we do like 3. It's all weighted differently too. Market value is
too complicated to even talk about right now. But
yeah,
he is a little bit
complicated
overhyped,
to actually do it.
You're not wrong about that. But if you guys don't have anything else to talk about that, I think that we should go ahead and wrap it up. And next week we'll probably get Brent on with us again. I don't know. Yeah. I think he would add some good.
We actually probably start doing some rankings here because we did our wide receivers. I think it's time that we.
Joe, did you guys finish your rankings? I hadn't checked.
No.
You didn't.
Yeah, they're finished.
Oh, you finished all your. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, they're all ready to go.
Okay. Well, maybe we can start on some rankings next week. But we appreciate you guys stopping out and listening. Sticking out with us. It's getting late. Vancouver's about to fall asleep, so we will all get together.
6 hours past his bedtime.
We will all get together next week. Hop on Twitter, follow us, 4 Horsemen Pod. Send us emails, 4horsemenpod@gmail.com, and we will talk to you then. Peace.